Welcome to the 10X Blueprint Podcast, your guide to unlocking 10X growth through AI, AR, and Web3. Join Simone Knight, billion-dollar media strategist and founder of Brandiverse Marketing, for discussions with industry leaders about harnessing the power of tomorrow's technologies today. Let's step into the Brandiverse. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the 10X Blueprint Podcast. Today's special guest is Mr. Sandy-Michael McDonald. For the past 21 years, he has worked in the community and economic development for both local and federal programs. Since 2013, he's been the director of the Broward Office of Economic and Small Business Development, the OESBD for short, and their mission is to stimulate economic development in Broward County through business. Overall, his office administers programs and services that help small businesses, women-owned businesses, and disadvantaged enterprises to access contracts with Broward County, Florida. His office creates, monitors, and enforces these key financial programs. In other words, he knows where the money is and how to get it. Welcome, Sandy. How are you?
Hey, Simone, thank you. I'm doing fine. Thanks for having me. And I love that little short intro. I'm going to have to borrow that and have other folks to use it. But thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I'm so thrilled to have you on the show today. We got acquainted with each other recently at the big economic development conference that you guys are having, Broward and Beyond, that happened in early May. And I was so impressed by what I saw from your organization, the caliber of small businesses, of vendors, of contracts available was really stunning and inspiring, to be quite honest with you. So thank you for doing this work to bring the money to small businesses.
No, thank you. It's a pleasure for us to doing it. And that's one of the things that I am excited about. Broward County Commission, in some ways, are like a lot of county commissions across the country and the state. But I can actually say, working in D.C., working in Michigan, now being in Broward 11 years, Broward is serious about their small businesses, and they afford me in this office the opportunities to be creative and do more to make sure that it's not just a soundbite, but substantively, it really happens and works for businesses. So thanks for noticing, and I'll give the kudos to the team, but it is our day job, and we enjoy doing it.
Absolutely. So today we're talking about the development opportunities for small and emerging businesses. And let me first qualify something. For those of you listening to this podcast that think, oh, we're a multi-billion-dollar corporation or a $50 million company, this is not for me. I want to tell you that the SBA, the Small Business Administration, they define small businesses of revenue up to $40 million. Okay, let me repeat that. $40 million is considered a small business in this country and 1,500 employees. All right. And having said that, 99% of the businesses in America are considered small businesses. Now, the sad thing is that most of those small businesses, 50% of them will close in the first 3 years of business. And it is so, so sad. And unfortunately, up to 80% will close by their 5th year in business. So the reason why we're having this conversation today is because I want to help businesses get to the money, right? And look at those economic opportunities that are around you every day that you may not even realize in the work that the Office of Small Business and Economic Development right here in Broward County is doing, and the partnerships with our sister counties, Miami-Dade and Palm Beach County, and the school districts and all the things that are happening all around us and how we can leverage all of those opportunities. Without further ado, let's get it going. Sandy, one of the things I love to do with my guests is I love to have a pre-conversation to help the audience know more about you. And I like to do what's called rapid fire. Okay. Are you ready for the rapid fire?
I'm ready for rapid fire.
Okay, fantastic. So I hear that you are a big sports fan, Sandy. And that you have a nickname that sort of signals that. What's your nickname?
Sandy-Mac is the nickname. But when they start talking about Go Blue means one thing. Everything that's Michigan. Don't look at that wall behind me because I'm in Florida. The young boy says Go Blue. I play it off from time to time and say, that's because the ocean's blue. No, that's Go Blue. If you can see the little artifacts on my desk, and I'm glad you can, it's all go blue. And since we're having this conversation today and we're almost at the beginning of college football season, we do know who won the national championship for college football last year, don't we know? Go blue. So, yeah,
Okay.
well, let's
Sandy
put
is
that out
putting up
there.
a big flex
Since you
every
asked.
day.
Hey,
The
oh my
University of Michigan.
goodness. And one of my colleagues happened to be from what they call the Ohio State. Yeah, I had to make sure that they knew go blue. And my mayor and my commissioners all went to the U, or they are Gators, or they're Chop Florida State. Go blue.
You are hilarious with this today. Okay. All right. It is clear you are a huge University of Michigan football fan. So
Yeah.
tell me, what is a favorite memory you have of attending one of these games or playing in one of these
Oh my.
games?
So I don't have the favorite plane. Again, I'm from Michigan,
Mhm.
and I grew up like most kids in Michigan. You want to go to Michigan or Michigan State. Well, of course, I wanted to go to Michigan, but it's not like my high school football team was that power ranking team. However, rest his soul, my tight end, Milton Carden, he made it to Michigan on scholarship. He went to the Rose Bowl. He had that ring.
Mm.
So I was able to live through him all the Michigan favors and tails. And actually, the last Michigan football game I went to, I went with him. So please understand, I went to an historically black college and university, Virginia Union University. I played football. And other than sports, the black colleges are known for the bands.
Mhm.
The band and the halftime shows are sometimes better than the games. So my last game at Michigan, I'm with Milt. And at this time, Milton had also been to a few black college games. Now he played for Michigan. So back in his day, he knew nothing about the Southern and the Grambling competition. He knew nothing about the Texas activities or the Virginia activities or the Hampton. He knew nothing about it, but he sampled them. So at the last game he and I was attending at Michigan, when the band started playing, and we had been together before, but something got him that day. He said, "Man, I need to apologize in advance. I know you ready to go to sleep on these bands." He said, "But Michigan do have one of the best bands. The Hail to Victor, is one of the best songs." I'm like, "Mill, I do love the song. I sing the song, but you're right. The band halftime show is not the same." So the funniest part is while the bands are playing, he's up in the stand with me, and he's mimicking like he's in a HBCU
Oh
band.
my God. Oh no.
So he doing HBCU dances and moves, and I'm cracking up. The audience around us is cracking up because they now see what he's doing. That ain't what's happening on the field with Michigan, but they see he going at it like he could have been at Grambling, or like he was at Southern, or
Let me
like
tell
he
you.
was at Hampton, the marching 100. So that is one of the most recent memories and the fondest memories because he's my guy, was a childhood friend, and I just lost him 3 years ago.
Oh,
And then
sorry
every
about
year, if
that.
I go in the football season for the last two, I think of Milt, and he's my original Go Blue. And to your question, being at that game with Michigan, Michigan was playing Maryland,
Mhm.
and during halftime, he cut up like he was a band conductor with a black band. Like
Let me tell you, for those of you that have not been to a HBCU football game, like, for Florida FAMU, you need to go to YouTube right now and you need to Google and look up one of these videos. I went to one of these games for the first time with two good friends of mine who are alumni from FAMU. And I had never been to an HBCU football game because I did not go to an HBCU university. And I was in awe. I was like, okay, the game is just okay, but this band is ridiculous. This band is off the chain.
Yes. They'll put the game to shame. The bands will put the game to shame. Yes.
Oh, man. Okay. So I get that. I understand why you are such a big fan of that. All right, let's move on to the next thing. So now I understand that you are from a church family.
Yes. 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 The youngest of 9, 6 boys, 3 girls. That's
Oh my God.
true. All of my life,
I got a
my
headache
dad
already
was
just thinking about it.
all my life, my dad was a minister. He was actually a pastor. He facilitated and he was the lead person at a church all my life. So yeah, I grew up as a preacher's kid. Yes, I did.
So, what would be one of the lessons that you learned from that environment growing up in a church family, the son of a preacher, that you still take with you today? Maybe it's a value or maybe a motto that you live by that you see is repeating itself in your life.
I think it's twofold, but they're both aligned with each other. So my dad really did speak about the person. He really did. He even spoke about the person so much that he even told us as kids growing up, as parishioners in his church, don't follow man, follow the scripture. So he
Mhm.
always wanted you to be full of context, what it is that you are following to know. He said, man can falter. In our religion, scripture can't. So believe the good book. But he also taught us, which I actually associate with my professional life, even in our spiritual life. You also have to lead your life for your relationship with Christ. If you believe in heaven, you're not getting into heaven off of your mom and your dad and off of your grandma. You're going to get there based off of your deeds. So because of that, when working with my small businesses, and when supporting, empowering, coaching our small businesses, I really do believe I take both of those with me. The first one is just the ideal of recognizing that it is about the you, your studying, your commitment, and knowing what's in front of you. It's not just about the man. It's about the book. It's
Mhm.
about the policy. It's about the practice. It's about knowing what you do. But the second part about that, you have to do that part that you need to for yourself. You can have cheerleaders. You can have my office. You can have the SBA. You can have the federal government. You can have local municipalities and others who support you. But to be in it and to win it, it really is about you. You have to make the commitment on your own that this is what you want to do. And you're going to do everything you need to do as long as it's legal and not unethical to get it done. So
Well,
I constantly and regularly try to transfer that. Don't have to go biblical. Sometimes I do, but I really don't. To make sure that my entrepreneurs and small businesses know, hey, it's about knowing the game. So know the rules, know the policies, know the programs. Hey, it's about your commitment. At the end of the day, I could want it for you more than you want it for yourself. You won't be successful until you begin to wanting it just as much for you.
that's a very good point because being an entrepreneur really is all about self motivation, right? It really is about the reason why you're staying up late, why
Yeah.
you're investing this time, why you are putting out that grind every day. What is the reason behind it? And you have to approach it with ethics and integrity. And that conversation about ethics and integrity is coming up more and more and more these past few years. And now, with the amplification of artificial intelligence, this whole idea of responsible AI and
Yeah.
ethical practices and removing bias and so forth, all of that is swirling around this conversation of emerging technologies and how businesses are deploying that within their staff and operations and even out to their consumers. And so the motivation that's behind it, the level of integrity and ethics and values that you approach your business with is definitely going to be indicative, or I should say, maybe related to the level of success that you can have with your business long term. So I love that, Sandy. Thank you.
Agreed.
Okay. So wrap it up. One more question. So I have this theory about first jobs.
I'm
And
agreed.
my theory is that your first job somehow has a big impact on who you are today. Your first paying job. So, really quickly, what was your first paying job?
See, I didn't know you was gonna connect it that way. So now you're gonna make me think. I know what my first paying job was. It was Sears and Roebuck. I was a sophomore in high school. My sister was already working there full time, and I was ready to get a job because I had some things that I wanted to do that summer year. And my dad said, "Well, you can get that employment card." I was in Michigan, and you can start working. My sister said, well, I can get you a part-time job. My first job was Sears and Roebuck's. I was in the men's department, and that's where you just helped me with something. And that's where I first started servicing the population. I had to learn
Ta-da.
about my inventory. Folks asking me about jeans and tops back then. I have never, and we'll move on. I've never thought about it that way, that your first job could be indicative of that was honestly my first job, Sears and Roebuck's, and I was in the men's department. I worked the register. I was customer service.
Mhm.
I was helping them through their needs, finding inventory, reshelving, restocking, unloading. Oh my goodness. So it was Sears and Roebuck. Yeah.
Okay, so you are still servicing the public, right?
Yes.
In the
Yes.
Office of Economic and Small Business Development, and you are still dealing with people and helping them find what they need. You're doing that now with emerging businesses for Broward County right now, but you've been doing this for 21 years
Yeah.
and even longer if you include the first job. So
Yeah.
let me get on my soapbox here for a second, Sandy, about the importance of summer jobs for teens and work experience. Okay. So I'm from New York originally, and I had my first job when I was in high school, and I believe I was about 15 going on 16 at the time. And like you, I initially worked in a retail store for a very short time and then quickly ended up in, guess what? Production, media. I worked for a television studio.
Okay. Wow.
Like,
Okay.
right? I never saw my career going into media, but here I am. Anyway, so it gives these teenagers a certain sense of confidence that they can get out there, learn this skill, and they can get some pocket money. And then
Yeah.
once you get to college, then those thoughts kind of continue into maybe getting a co-op job or work study or something like that. That now kids can, be an influencer and do so many different things. But the point is that you have work experience. You know how to deal with the public. You know how to have a conversation with strangers, and you know how to gain skills and learn on the job. And all of that is so important, I think. And I think that a lot of that ends up getting lost sometimes. And I just want to remind people and remind parents, internships, summer jobs.
Yes.
Make sure your kid is making some sort of money and getting some sort of skills and getting that practice. Because when they get out there in the real world, they can't hide behind the computer. They got to talk to people if they want to elevate themselves in their career and even grow a business and be an entrepreneur. You've got to
So
be
true.
able to relate to the public.
So true.
All
So
right.
true. That's
So now I'm
exactly
off my
what
soapbox.
we're on. That's good. That was a soapbox that was necessary.
Okay. So let's get into this conversation about getting to the money. Okay. We talked about you started off your career actually back at Sears and Robots back
Yeah.
in the day. I wanted to understand a little bit from you about your career journey, just really quickly. Sort of what were the big steps that sort of landed you into this space of economic and small business development?
I think one of the biggest steps that landed me, I had did some small business economic development, but primarily working with at-risk youth in DC. And based on the contract I had in DC, it afforded me chances to create jobs for not only the youth, but for the parents that I was serving. I lost my dad in 99. That was my opportunity to move back to Michigan, being the youngest. And at the end of the day, I started working for the city of Pontiac, my hometown city. And about 1 year, year and a half in, the DDA, Downtown Development Authority job became available. And I told him, hey, I think I would like that job. And he said, well, that's a appointed position hired by the authority. So
Oh,
in the interim,
politics.
politics. So in the interim, I can appoint you, but
Mhm.
you're going to have to demonstrate to them that you can do the job in order to be hired. He appointed me. 8 months later, they hired me.
Mm.
And that was the beginning of my business development, my economic development, my downtown development, my small business development. I helped my local hometown city try to realize their potential and their opportunity in growing their downtown, revitalizing their downtown, working with business owners in the downtown, attracting new businesses to the downtown. Started doing certification programs and training programs, realizing that economic development was actually a flavor of mine. It was something I truly had interest in. And no economic development can be described as fluid and so large. The key element was working with business that eventually evolved into working with small business. So I stayed there 11 years. I actually retired from that city. I actually started doing some consulting, and lo and behold, came this opportunity in Broward County. And Broward County was no longer looking for something like a city. I was relatively a small city outside Detroit, but as a county, economic development, economic engines, working with small business, having a small business program, administering the federal program. Went through that competitive process in Broward County. The Board of County Commissioners, Bertha Henry at that time, the county administrator, took a chance on a young man from a little city called Pontiac, 17 miles outside Detroit, who had been doing economic development and downtown development and work on small businesses, to come and be a part of the team to administer and run the local small business program, administer the federal programs, and to work with the primary EDO for the county to assure that economic development grows and grew for the 31 municipalities. So again, 11 years later, excited to be here, excited for the opportunity, excited for the change and the impact this office and our partners have made in supporting businesses, small businesses, women and minority businesses, and entrepreneurs right here in Broward County.
So you just said a lot, and there's a lot to unpack there because since I've been talking with you and attending the Broward and Beyond conference, I realized that there are many different designations. There's many different programs. There are literally billions of dollars out there for emerging businesses. And, I just want to fine tune this a little bit. Can you first tell us the difference between, and I'm just going to say the acronym so you can talk about what these mean, an SBE, CBE, WBE. Right? That's exactly. I was reading through the materials. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, I'm a consultant. I'm used to taking in a lot of information, but this can be confusing. And you definitely need a navigator to go through this whole process. So just again, very, very quickly, succinctly, because this is not the core of the conversation. So what is the difference between those three designations? SBE, CBE, WBE.
So SBE, small business enterprise, that's used generically across the country. That's how a lot of municipalities, governments, and states classify small businesses. For me, it's the smaller of my two local. I go SBE for small business enterprises, everything that the county procures.
So what kind of revenue are we talking about for small?
Everything the county buys under $250,000, I get to look at my SBEs. SBEs are my smallest of small businesses. They normally do about personal net worth, the owner, $1.32 million or less. They're generating revenues of about $1 million, $500,000 or less based on their discipline and industry. And they traditionally got like 15 employees or less. SBE, small business enterprise. We carve out opportunities just with the small, can bid against the small. CBE is our farm program, county business enterprise. Everything the county buys over $250,000, that's an opportunity to set a goal of at least 25%. I'm building a convention center expansion, a hotel, $1 billion. And
it's happening right now, folks.
And right now, at least 25% must be done by my small businesses. Those businesses are CBEs. So at the end of the day, personal net worth again, the owner is about $1.32 million or less, not counting the other primary residence, but the revenue's larger. The revenues for CDEs on most of my industries, they get the average $5 million or less over 3 years. If you're in construction, $9 million or less over 3 years. And as you were saying earlier with your intro, even with the expansion of the Small Business Administration and everything that's small, we actually know as a county, 89% of the businesses in Broward County, and I have over 85,000 registered businesses in my county, 89% actually have small, not by SBA standards, but 20 employees or less. So my CBE, SBEs are my small local program. And though you mentioned a WBE, Women Business Enterprise, MBE, Minority Business Enterprise, MWBE, Minority Women Business Enterprise, DBE, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, all of those are federal programs. I used to teach a course for ADCA, the American Contract Compliance Association, and I used to teach the course called Alphabet Soup because it's all these different programs, all these different acronyms, but I made sure small businesses minority businesses, women businesses, knew how to leverage the certifications that they got and knew how not to waste getting a certification that you can't advantage. So on the federal side, with all the rest of the acronyms, the key is the federal government, state government, county governments who use federal money, we have sheltered market opportunities, goal-related opportunities when we're using those funds. And based on your business and as an owner qualifying, you can also be certified federally, not just locally. So for my program, 2 small businesses local, SBE, CBE with criteria, and my office federally, because the county touches Department of Transportation money, I administer the DBE program. And as you said earlier, DBEs, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, those companies can do up to $26 million on an average over 3 or 5 years. But all those businesses across the country you see in the airport, they're called ACDBE, Airport Concessions Disadvantaged Business Enterprise. And you know what? They can all do more than $50 million on an
And
average
still qualify
over
for
3
the
to 5 years and still qualify as a small disadvantaged business. So yes, understanding the certification, understanding the criteria of eligibility, understanding your specific discipline of the business you do, if you're in business, or importantly, if you're thinking about going in business, learn these programs on the onset so you can find out based on the business and the discipline you're looking to go into, if you can advantage them. If you can get a certification that advantages the growth, that creates sheltered market opportunity, that set aside projects for you to competitively bid, and those certifications don't cost you nothing, learn these programs. Because the federal government's spending money.
let me stop there because a lot was said, and I want to just backtrack on a couple of things. So the first thing is figure out which one of these designations your business fits in. Are you a women-owned business, a minority women-owned business, a disadvantaged business, an airport concession disadvantage, all of these things. And you can go to the procurement portal on the Office of Economic and Small Business Development website to see the different designations. And we'll share that information with you towards the end so you can go check that out. Once you identify which of these designations your company falls under based on the amount of revenue and number of employees that your company has, then now you can start to do the database search for, the types of opportunities out there. That's number 2, right? So first, see the designation. 2, look to see the opportunities. Number 3, and Sandy, correct me if I'm wrong, would then be looking at, well, of the opportunities out there, are there opportunities that you think you can be able to provide those services? If you see those opportunities, then by all means, go ahead and get the designation and the certification process going.
That's
But if
correct.
you don't see those opportunities, then maybe it may not advantage you to get certified, right?
And that's correct. And you need to remember, the only thing I would add to what you said, and you're spot on, based on who you are and where you are, that's how you take that first prism, that first look at what the opportunities might be before you get certified. You need to make sure that the certification is going to advantage you. Getting it for the sake of getting it might be cute, but it's not substantive. If
And it's
not
also
going to
time
afford you
consuming.
an opportunity to really make some money, to be competitive in a certain niche, then get it if you want, but it's not going to move that economic needle. The other part about it, some of these programs are national. So you need to understand sometimes you can be in a community where the certification doesn't serve your purpose. And you remember, you started your business for a reason. 9 times out of 10, you wanted to make money. You're interested in whatever the discipline or the industry that you're in. And you also have always told yourself, I need to find out my audience. Who's going to pay me for what I'm doing? Who's going to give me the real opportunity? So keep that in mind. You might be in a community where locally these certifications just don't mean nothing to those procurement groups that's doing the buying.
But federally, could be
Next
something.
door, if in the neighboring city, state, county, you see those real opportunities. If there's a pathway in, if you check their directories and see they buy the good material service that you provide, and they have a certification that you're eligible for, business goes and do business where business has business opportunities. You're not in business to sit here and not have an opportunity.
Let me add to that because there's also some reciprocity. So, for
Yeah.
instance, if you are certified with the Miami-Dade County
Correct.
School Board, right, then there is, I think, some reciprocity with the certifications with Broward County. Is that it?
Schools.
Schools.
Miami-Dade School District, you can do business automatically with Broward School Districts and Palm Beach School District. That's correct. The districts have decided that they have reciprocity.
Right.
Everybody don't. The districts have decided they do. At this stage, the county doesn't. However, there's federal programs with reciprocity. You become a DBE because Broward County's Aviation and Broward County Transit uses money from the Department of Transportation. If I certify you as a DBE in Broward, you're an automatic DBE in Miami. You're an automatic DB in Jacksonville, Orlando. And because of reciprocity, if your girlfriend calls you in Georgia and say, hey, I think there's an opportunity for a DBE in Georgia, you get to take my certification letter, my certification certificate, you get to send it to Georgia. Georgia, with the new rule, got 10 days to certify you in the state of Georgia. They cannot make you do the application all over again. So reciprocity on the federal program is actually national. You can be as many states as you can have capacity to do business.
So now let me also reiterate just how much money is out here. Okay. So we just talked about county business opportunities. We talked about city opportunities, state opportunities, federal opportunities, and then the school boards will be another opportunity. And then you have whatever commercial opportunities are available that have required set asides for these businesses with certifications, the women business certification, small business, disadvantaged business, whatever it is. And I believe you mentioned earlier, Sandy, that your organization for anything over $250,000 on a bid with the county was a 25% set aside. Is that what I heard?
25% goal. So at the end of the day, we'll just use that example again. We expanded the convention center. That was the initial project. And with that expansion, they had a 30% goal. At the end of the day, 38% of all the money they spent to expand the convention center went to my local small businesses. We're now building the hotel. The hotel at the end of the day is going to be about a $700 million project. It has 25% gold. Right now, this day, and in 15 months from opening the hotel, they're already at 24.8% of the 25% that's actually required. So they're going to meet and exceed the goal as well. So the point is for the county, if the county's doing a project, and that's the same with contracts and services, janitorial, security, consulting,
Paper,
like,
small things that are just used in an office or run an office building.
yes, ma'am. If the county buys it, we get to look at it before the bid or the solicitation ever hits the street. And the county's program say, hey, Sandy, if you got at least two businesses that can provide some, not all, some of the goods, materials, or services that agencies looking to buy, you can set a 25% goal. And we also are allowed to reserve, which means, hey, maybe there's a $3 million project. It would be cute to put a 25% goal on $3 million. That's still some money coming in. But the truth is, I might have enough CVEs that I just reserve it for them. So let my little CVEs go after the whole $3 million instead of a percentage of the 25%. Our program is driven for the fact that we recognize as a part of the economic engines for what the county does. It makes sense. I got to buy it anyway. Why not buy it or a portion of it from businesses that are already in my county, hiring people in my county, paying taxes in my county?
Absolutely.
And for the money they're going to give the people that's in my county, they take the money and they go pay their rent, their mortgage, they go to the grocery store, they go to the gas station, they spend the money in my county. My willingness to commit at least 25% of what we do grows the GDP in my own county. So why would I not offer opportunities to businesses that are locally my own? It makes sense.
And that is the economic development piece of what your office does.
Yeah.
By helping small businesses grow, elevate, and amplify their revenue, you are lifting all boats, right? The tide lifts
Exactly.
all boats. And that's fantastic. I was recently participating in an RFP for the county, and this was a $70 million marketing RFP for the county. So, this is something that these numbers are pretty big, people,
Yeah.
pretty big. And keep in mind that you don't also have to go after these RFPs by yourself. You can form a group with other companies that can provide pieces of the pie and form under one umbrella with one lead agency and go after something like that, which is what I did when I worked with another organization to do that. The other piece of it is that sometimes you don't want to be what's called a prime contractor, right? Which is the lead, because it also requires a lot of insurance and documentation and all the things and infrastructure, of course, when you're managing a $70 million project. But what you can do is put yourself in an environment where you're meeting with primes and connected with them as a potential resource to provide services under that main contract. And I love the fact that your office, Sandy, does a lot of events that gives these emerging businesses the opportunities to be in the presence of these prime vendors
Yeah.
and get noticed. So talk about that a little bit, please.
Yeah, that's intentional and it's in defense and support of the primes. See, we got to be honest. We're establishing goals. 9 out of 10 things that's crossing my desk, I'm putting the goal on it. If I also can be honest, most of the primes don't want to work with small. They want to work with themselves, their family, their friends, and whoever. Hey, I just want to get this contract.
Like most
Out.
people.
Just
Just work with who you know and who you like.
Right. But the county is serious about the fact that no, I'm glad you want to work with yourself, your family, and your friends. But 25%, sometimes 30% of that, you're going to use my small. So to support you, we not only tell you on the front end of the solicitation, so there's no games, you read in the bid that you're going to be required to make sure 25%. You're told in the bid. When you send your bid, already pick the businesses that's in the small business directory. Already have LOIs, letter of intent, that you're going to use them. Already identify how much you're going to pay them and what the percentage is, because the goal's 25. You're told on the front end to make it happen as a part of the bid. So at the end of the day, to support you, we'll even do some meet and greets. I have a standing directory. You don't have to guess. I can tell you based on electrical, mechanical, plumbing, financial, all the directories in the disciplines. I can tell you who we have. You can reach out to them. I also tell them about you in this upcoming bid so they can reach out to you. And there are times, as you mentioned, somebody, when I bring you all together for a meet and greet. I don't want you to work hard. I want you to work smart. So the county's going to introduce this project. All the potential bidders for this 70 million, as you said, y'all come to a room. All the small businesses come to the room because that 70 million got a 30% goal. That means at least 21 million got to be done with small.
Hello.
Let's hear
21 million.
21 million. Let's hear from the agency, describe the whole project, and let's take the last 90 minutes.
Let's not be greedy. I don't need all 70. I can take 21.
And here's the thing about the 21, like you said, portions. Hey, I see that the 21 is divided in about 9 different disciplines. Well, I'm the guy who has the logistics and the delivery. I don't mind being 5% of the 25% goal or the 30% goal.
Mm-hmm.
See, 5% of $21 million.
That's still
You
a
still
million.
do your own math. Hey, I'll be 10% of the $21 million. Do your own math. So you get to do the bite-sized pieces. Yes, the prime would love to do the 20 million with 2 or 3 people. That's great, because he or she might not want to herd cats using 8 or 9. But just like my convention center, they use 49 firms
Wow.
for the expansion of the convention center, who eventually was paid over $181 million. Smallest contract, $5,375. Largest contract was an $8 million contract, and everything else in between. So 49 firms helped them exceed my goal. So that's the thing for your audience. I really want them to remember, and you made a good point earlier. For the big small businesses, you can get in this game as a prime. For all businesses based on size or capacity, you might be one of my smaller, you can be there as a subcontractor. You can be there as a sub to a subcontractor. You can be the third tier sub to the sub of a subcontractor because everyone's required as a part of the bid, guys. See, this is not a bait and switch. They're required on the front end to do it. And one of the things that we do that's uniquely different. See, I'm not going to let you commit to my small business, get the award from the commission, do your final negotiation, and then start working. And then 3 years later, I'm going to check to find out that you didn't use my guys. You didn't pay my guys. So as a county, we do MURs, monthly utilization reports. See, I need
Accountability.
accountability. You got your notice to proceed in January. Congratulations. I know it took you February and March to get going. Congratulations. Come April, I need to see what you did in March. Come May, I need to see what you did in April. Don't forget, I had to check the compliance when your bid came in. I know who you said you were going to use. I know what you said you were going to use them for. I know how much you said you was going to pay them. So see, I'm just checking what you wrote into the contract. But we're going to be responsible to you because when we find out you got your award, we actually send you a congratulations letter. Hey, we understand you won that contract. Hey, you used these 5 bids, these 5 firms to meet your goals. Hey, I'm the office that's going to monitor you every single month. That's how forward.
Well, this is great because, like you said, you have accountability built in, right? You have fairness built in, and there is a clear goal, visibility as to what's happening and what's required for all that is involved. And there's, frankly, enough opportunity to go around.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
think that that's fantastic. Let's switch gears a little bit here, Sandy, and let's talk a little bit about technology in these businesses, since a lot of the focus of my podcast is on emerging technologies and how business is being impacted and can also leverage these opportunities. So when it comes to the big gorilla in the room right now, artificial intelligence, augmented reality, Web3, immersive experiences, how do you see these types of emerging technologies impacting what you're doing with your offices and the opportunities that the small businesses can participate in?
So we're trying to lead by example. So first of all, we try to make sure that the business community, not just the small, but the business community understand as government, I'm embracing it. And you should too. Because at the end of the day, for me to create pathways and opportunities better for you, I'm going to use all the technology and innovation that's available to me. For you to be in alignment with the opportunities I'm presenting, that really does mean you too should consider using all of the innovation and technology that's available to you. So yeah, you can still come to me, participate in my entrepreneurship program. Let me carry you through 11 weeks. And if you do all of your assignments and your homework, post across, you can end up with a quality business plan. Or you can really understand AI and understand how you can get a business plan formatted for you and then work with our office to assure that the details of your plan is exactly what you sought after. And see, that's the thing that we're being honest about. Yes, AI can write your business plan. But
Yes,
our
you
team,
also need to edit it.
research and development, you still got to go back.
Yeah.
Review to make sure that the uniqueness and the specialty and the sound for what you're trying to present was there. But yes, it really is a legitimate, genuine start. See, I don't want people to think that it's not. It is. And guess what, guys? It saved you time and money. So the whole idea is incrementally, you're trying to get to launch. If I'm getting ready to take 5 weeks to 3 months just to walk you through the business planning formatting, guys, you can get across the curve because in about 2 weeks, you can get done with that. And the business plan could really be done along with your research. So the whole point is that's just one of the examples. But for House County, we're talking about 3D and other innovations in technology, augmented realities. Okay, we do architectural engineering and designs as a part of design to build for all of these projects and activities. So if you're one of the big boys that's listening to your podcast, okay, Come to the program knowing that if the county wants to do design build, you can still use the old formula for design, for review, for approval, for
Or
project consideration, for development. Or you can realize that, I can probably even do this pitch to the evaluation committee. And maybe we all going to do the augmented reality. Maybe I'm coming in the room instead of this big fat book, I'm coming with 6 pair of goggles, and I'm going to describe for you what you had as a solicitation, how we can design and develop this for you and meet all your criteria. I am so serious about the fact R&D is the only thing that's still sticking that was here 50 years ago. You always still need to research and develop your idea. But there's now better tools that you can probably use that can advance your research and your development. So how do I help businesses and small businesses? I try to make sure that they see, because I'm government, and sometimes we're going to be 6 or 10 years slower in their technology. We can. People say, man, y'all always slow in government. But I'm trying to show the different ways that we're rolling it out so that you can begin to recognize this isn't something you should stand on the sideline. If you are a business, you need to embrace it. You certainly need to learn it. You need to understand the securities of it. No one's telling you to be ignorant or blind, but it can advance your opportunities. And you're going to start seeing more federal, state, and counties and municipalities asking for responses.
so
And
Sandy,
modern
so
ways are going to work with the
I
technology.
got to step you there because you were just dropping so many like pearls. They're like, bombs being dropped on some things that you just said here. I love the example that you gave about the construction industry and being able to use augmented reality to demonstrate your design and build capabilities. That's a game changer right there. First of all, it's pretty cool to look at. That's one thing. So you have that wow factor. The second thing is, like you mentioned, the time and cost savings. You don't have to build a 3D model. You now have that design and make it virtual, and people can literally walk through the
Yeah.
space and see what you're talking about and pick up things and rotate them.
Yeah.
And, augmented reality is a game changer when it comes to being able to illustrate design and build capabilities for the construction industry, fashion design industry, electronic design industry. So that's really, really cool. And I love what you're saying in terms of the county now trying to lead by example. It also to signal to the businesses that you're working with that it's okay and also expected for
Yeah.
you to be using these tools to work smarter, not harder. So let me make a public service announcement here. Do not be afraid of AI. Let me repeat that. Do not be afraid of AI. Use it as a tool to create a competitive advantage in your business. This is what I do with my clients is show them how to use it for efficiency. Like you mentioned, you don't have to start from zero with your business plan. You can let AI help you and then you start to change it and make it your own from there, right? So using these tools is a cheat code for you to move faster because speed to market is often the thing that
Exactly.
separates the winners from the losers.
Still a very high level evaluation criteria. How soon can you get me there? When can you deliver this? And anything that's consuming of time also costs me more money. So again, I tell folks, and I do say it proper. Yes, embrace it, learn it, use it, and yes, protect yourself in understanding the securities and the things that you need to do. And you also mentioned in the intro, guys, even with AI, there's still going to be your own professional and personal need to demonstrate ethics and integrity. There is. Because at the end of the day, you got to remember, it's no different than the Cliff Notes back 40 years ago. And it's no difference than what we started doing when you started allowing word search, computers, and databases into your classroom.
What about calculators? You can go even further back than that,
And the
along with
teachers
calculators
also
in
got,
school.
right, the teachers also got tools to check to see how much of this is you or hasn't been written 1,000 times before.
Right.
So I'm telling you, It is a tool, and you describe it, Simone, accurately. Guys, AI is a tool. And like some tools, they have multiple uses. Some tools are defined and better for certain activity than for others. And some tools demonstrate that I can take you so far, would allow you to go the remainder.
Mhm.
Don't think this is a tool that end all cure all does everything.
Mhm.
And I'm just going to leave it to the tool. But recognize it's a tool that can open a lot of doors. It's a tool that can show pathways that was never seen before. And it's a tool of improvement to do even better than what has been done. But it is your job to understand how best to use the tool. I'm just saying, don't leave the tool on the shelf.
No,
It is in the day and age, it needs to be used, and start like any good mechanic. If I use that reference, start early. See, it is about learning. You don't want to be 7 years from now telling me, oh, I need to part down.
but
And
we're
you
all
can.
learning. We're all learning about AI right now.
That's true too.
All of
Yes.
us, every single one of us. And this is something that will continue to evolve for the next
And it is.
decades. And where we are today, we cannot even imagine what will be 10 years from now,
I know.
because 2 years ago, we didn't imagine where we would be
Nope.
right now. So, do you have any advice that you would give in terms of cautionary tales to people who are thinking about, getting certified or participating with the county or the city
Oh,
or the state for any of
oh,
these economic development programs?
I am so glad you asked that, because sometimes, and I apologize in advance, and then I recognize what we do. And I, like you said, my dad was a preacher. I'm not trying to create hype. I don't want to get you excited and think your soul has been saved and at the end of the day, all is well. I want to be honest about what the real opportunities are. The cautionary tale is, hey guys, you're going to hear on this podcast, you just heard all the real opportunities that Broward has. And they real. I got a list of businesses. I got videos. I took my last 2 conferences. I'm calling people out by name. I'm telling my winners, hey, is it okay that I say your name and your company and your money? I hope you're not going through no divorce, because I don't want nobody to get mad at you. I hope you're not trying to hide
Put your
money.
business on blast.
Why? Because I'm screaming your name. And you need to understand, my best message today is not my mouth. It's me showing you someone who was in that room with you in 2019. You both came to that meet and greet. You both met the prime contractor. You both went after contracts. I'm in now 2024. He's made 7 million. You didn't make any. What really happened? So I'm using real examples to where we are. The cautionary tale is, I'm government. Things could change tomorrow.
Mhm.
Private industry. Things could change tomorrow. Broward Health, Broward Schools, Broward Sheriff. Things could change tomorrow. It's still your job as a cautionary tale based on the good material or service you provide. If you want to do business with government, including federal, you need to research. Hey, who buys my good material and service? How often do they buy my good material and
How
service?
often? That's important.
How often? What are they currently paying for that good material or service? If I'm researching that just like private industry, and I see that they buy it on a regular, and I know the agencies that actually buy it, I see how much they're spending, and I've even allowed to go to the database and see who the competitors are. If I think this is a good opportunity for me, then I get in the game. I get certified. I do the workshops with Mr. McDonald's office. I learn the certified now what? I learn how to meet the actual prime contractors. I learn how to speak with the agencies. I learn the program, the process, and I meet the right people. See, I follow that cord. Cautionary tale, don't listen to my workshop. Don't listen to this podcast. Don't get excited and go get your grandma to give you 300,000 and start a business tomorrow. Get certified with me in 4 months and then say I'm ready to find out we don't even buy what you do. To find out, we buy it once every 5 years. Guys, federal, state, county, and local, that information is available and it's free.
Mhm.
You had to really research business development opportunities 10, 15, 20 years ago. Guys, we have a running list on the county's purchasing website. This is just us. Of all open-end contracts, so that means anything that the county buys, that there's an active contract, you get to go see it for free. Who won? When was it let?
So
When is it over? How
hold
much
on.
did it on?
Hold on, because there's something really important right there where you're saying now. Now, let's say that I'm in marketing, right? Marketing services, digital marketing. And as I said, I was participating on this $70 million
Right.
RFP. Now, I could go to your website and I could make a records request to see who won the bid last time and what it
Yep.
looks like, right? So now I have guidance to create the RFP this time around.
Well,
That is key piece of information. That's a
and you get
master
to do
tip
that.
right there.
And you get to do that even before the new bid comes out. Because as you mentioned, I'm in marketing and advertising. And I already know that the county gets that service done by a consultant. So because of the purchasing's website that has all open contracts, I'm now going to look because I don't know. Hey, this contract was let back in 2019. Hey, this contract was 3 years with 2 option years. Hey, it's 2024. Hey, this thing is probably going to hit the street again. Hey, before it ever hits the street, let me do a public records request or let me navigate the Periscope system that purchasing taught me to go back and find the existing contract, everybody who bid, the quotes they sent in, the teams they put together, and more importantly, the actual solicitation itself. If I have all of that before the new bid ever hits the street, I began to get an understanding of at least 80, if not 90%, of what they're liable to be asking for the next time when it hits the street. I'm already ahead of the game.
Yeah.
I know the competitors. I know who lost. I know who won. Subcontractor, I know who he's currently using. I know who they were proposing to currently use. I'm a new person wanting to get in the game. Oh, and the program allows me to be on as many teams as possible. So I'm going to speak to everybody who lost the last time. I'm
Tell
going
them
to
that you're interested.
So, I mean, matter of fact, I'm contacting the guy who currently has it. I mean, all of that is honestly available. And as you started this as a cautionary tale, the research and the available information is there.
Mhm.
Idea about the R&D. Are you going to do your own work? See, I have businesses like that example, 7 million, you didn't get none. See, I had businesses who did their homework.
Mhm.
I had you who came to every one of my meetings. Did you do your homework? Did you follow up with that crime? Did you do that pre-qualification document that they told you that they needed on anybody who might want to be considered?
So this
Guys,
is
I never promise or guarantee that anyone's going to win. I can't. But I can assure you that we intentionally as a county give you more than enough information to not just be competitive, but competitively advantage your opportunities against those who also get the same information I'm giving. That's what you mentioned earlier about the confidence. You got to be about your business. Don't worry about homeboy. Don't look at my director and say, wow, he got 10 of those. I don't need to do great.
yeah.
You know, 9 of them ain't worth 2 cents.
Don't disqualify yourself before you even step up to the table, right?
Agree.
So, Sandy, you just shared so much amazing information. This was a masterclass in how to get to the money, right? These are big dollars, that these are not fictitious what if situations. These are literally billions of dollars in contracts that are being awarded from the state, from the county, from the school boards, from municipalities. And if you are listening to this podcast and you're not in the state of Florida, I guarantee you that your state has the same thing too,
Yep,
because
they
they
do.
have employees and they have departments that buy goods and services, and they have programs for small business as well and emerging businesses. So, Sandy, where do they go find information about the different business designations and what sort of goods and services the county buys?
Thank you for asking. Broward.org/econdale. That's short for economic development.
Mhm.
Broward.org/econdale. That's our website.
Mhm.
And that will share everything, not only about our office and the small business program. I'll link you to everything we discussed today, even relevant to purchasing. I want you to miss. And again, certification is done by me, federal as well as local. So Broward.org/econdev. But Ms. Knight, the thing that I really love to say when folks afford me a chance to have 2 minutes, and I try to do it in 40 seconds, call my office, email this office, and ask for your consult with me and my managers. Everyone's entitled to it. Most of them do multiples when they do call, but everyone's entitled to call. If you Broward County, you already done paid for me. The point is, how you better use it. No tax dollars has this office and this program operate. So 954-357-6400. You can say you heard it on this podcast. Call the office and say, I would like to speak to Mr. McDonald about the economic development part of the office, about the small business part of the office. I know we didn't even talk about the international trade in the office. I'm like 95%.
We're going to have to do that on a second.
It's outside the U.S. Oh, my God. But you have a right to get this information. Me and others like me should have been sharing this information in your community. And again, even for those you said there's not here, you can use my website to see what we do. And then ask your state, ask your county, ask your city in another state. Do we do this? Who's my office? Who do I contact? But if you happen to be Broward, and on the federal side, if you happen to be in the state of Florida, Broward.org/econdev, or call the office and just schedule an appointment, virtual, face-to-face, phone conference. We taking them all, 954-357-6400.
Well, folks, you heard it here first, or maybe second, if you heard it before and didn't do anything about it. This is now your opportunity. Call the office, email the office, visit the website, tell them that you heard about it on the 10X Blueprint podcast. And happy hunting, everyone. So until next week, Sandy, thank you so much for joining us today on the 10X Blueprint podcast. This was informative. It was funny. And I feel fired up about seeing like some more zeros in my business bank account right now.
There you go. There you go.
All right, everyone. We'll see you next week on the podcast. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining us on the 10X Blueprint podcast. If you found today's episode inspiring and want to stay ahead of the curve on the latest trends in AI, AR, and Web3, be sure to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on LinkedIn and YouTube at Brandiverse Marketing. Together, we'll unlock the blueprint for 10X growth. Don't miss out on our next episode, and until then, onward and upward.